it's always assumed that women care work is theirs. Eh? Looking after children, looking after the sick, washing clothes, ironing clothes, cooking. Every burial, it is the women to go first and things like that. Even in church, when they're saying, well, volunteers for what? You know, it's always like a shock if a male volunteers to be one of the people coming every Saturday to clean the church. Now you, the women who are not offering, a good woman does this. There's this church I go to. We have a church WhatsApp group. And I recall one day the bishop was coming and they had been mobilizing for weeks for people who will do this and all that. And then the day finally came, and it was the women's union business to make sure there's food, there's what. And despite everything the women did, financial contribution, first of all, when they're collecting money, they don't segregate that it's men's money or women's money. They just want the congregation to contribute. But when now it comes to do now the cooking, the serving, you know, it is the woman's work. Eh? You know, we're a group of men. Maybe this might even be the most high-ranking woman. They will tell you, you think you can help us? You know, women, you're the ones good at this. And I remember someone posting at the group about, you know, modern women, what? Those who cooked, those who didn't cook. So there was one of the ladies kneeling down, the chair of the women's union, kneeling now to receive and serve. And then one man was commenting about the good attributes of women these days, and he ranted on and what. And of course I just came in and I'm like, if the purpose of this group is promote negative patriarchy, to oppress the rest of us despite our contribution, of course that killed the conversation. But there had been this conversation going on the whole day. A good woman and a bad woman, because I'm one of those who despise kneeling. So for me, it touched me in the core. I had contributed financially, and women were expected to do the cooking and what. And again, we are being blamed because some of us stood stiff like sticks. But the other one who knelt now was the most useful woman because he knelt and all the men were standing on the side and things like that. So there are those roles that automatically, cleaning is for women, looking after the sick is for women, you know, those kind of things. So these are unappreciated roles. So it looks like invisible work. So it is not that the work is invisible, it is the value that people pretend is invisible because they don't want to pay for it. Because every time these roles move to men, men will demand to go fetch water. I need to put fuel on my boda on my car to go and fetch. The you people contribute. Eh? While the women, you people, let's go fetch water. So there's this long line of women carrying jerrycans and buckets and basins on their head and saucepans to go fetch water miles away. But when it is men, they'll say, yes, I'll bring the water. I need to go and get a bicycle from there. Give me money for the rubber, that elastic, whatever, for tying, or a rope or what. Eh? You see, men always will demand for money, will demand for the value of that. Like, no, I'll need money for this. That will cost so much, and then I'll go do it, you know. Women, we need to grind grains that have harvested what? We need portion. If you send a male, even in my home, you send a male child, I said, well, you put fuel and I go and grind. They have no problem going, but you must facilitate the process to make it comfortable. If it is a woman, like, you mean you cannot walk just there and go and grind that thing and come back? So you see, there are those kind of roles that are always unappreciated, and women are expected to give it for free. And when men do it, they're expected to be paid. So sometimes I don't know if men have a better bargaining power, because even when we have like maids and then male workers in the home, many times you find that we pay the males better. They negotiate maybe better, while the girl sometimes is just happy to come and do the work. Of course, there are challenges that come with that. Sometimes they overly rob you. I've had an experience, almost 90% of the few maids I've had, because I faced them out long ago, they have robbed me. And yet I'd try to go a step further and pay them more. But maybe still it's not good enough, so maybe we should pay more. Yes? While a male worker will negotiate for so much. Say, if you're adding me that, you have to add me money. You said I'm only coming to guard the gate. Now you're telling me to weed. You need to add me more. You know, those kind of things. So when a man is doing cooking, he will charge for it. But many women, even when we are getting outside catering, if it's a male caterer, they charge premium prices and they're not batting an eyelid about it, and they're not negotiating. If it's giving you a discount, like fine, you can shop all these things. And you know those guys have, I think, understandings with the market guys. They buy things cheaper, but they'll give you a bill. You build those things, and then what? You charge me labor. You'll pay me labor. When it's a woman, said, "You a woman? Okay, we shall help you do some things." Yeah? But you know, in reality, you find that maybe women are not very good at negotiating some of these things. So yes, those are some of the challenges we have, and sometimes we see this now migrating to the professional spaces. In that when a job is advertised, you know, normally sometimes they say preferably male, preferably female. But when women are given certain jobs, there's so many testimonies of women saying, I found out the male before me who occupied that job was earning 3 times more than me. So you see, the thing about women, maybe we're even poor researchers, because many times we apply for a job, you're just happy to get the job, and they'll ask you your salary expectations, and you'll throw a figure. So some jobs have a salary bracket, some places have a fixed salary. Many times where there's that salary bracket, you find women are exploited. They're paid the lower minimum, while the man will negotiate for the top minimum, or is not taking the job anyway. So I think men do their research. Normally they'll come, they know how much they're paying. Women, you know, you're at the interview, you don't even know. So are you going to shoot too low or too high, you know? And then when you get the job, for me in my case, I've never done a job where I'm paid less than a man. But there was an incident where I found that my male counterparts were getting a housing allowance and I wasn't. And it shocked me, yeah? And when I tried to inquire, they said, no, we can't give women a housing allowance because a male in your life somewhere is getting that money. Your husband must be getting that money. I'm like, no, I have no husband. Like, well, maybe your father. And you staying at home? Like, who told you I'm staying at home? I rent my own place. So I need the housing allowance. So there are those assumptions that men in your life are footing the bill for something. Yet when a man demands for housing allowance, looking at the patriarchal arrangement that shelter is a man's role, he will easily be given that money, even if in reality he might be living in a woman's house, but he gets a housing allowance. So you find those spaces. And of course, the example that I keep giving, maybe you're in the boardroom, people are serving tea, the men are, I don't know how to do this. And if you're a female next to them, people are not ashamed to tell you, doctor, I think you'll help us have the tea. We're not very good with this. Okay, maybe you're not, maybe you are, but you know, things like taking minutes, it's always a woman's job. Patricia, I think you'll take the minutes. I'm like, no. Let someone else take the minutes. Why should it always be the woman in the room? But if they are men only, you'll find there's a male playing that role, or everybody takes care of their own business. So those are some of the areas where you find that women are often disaggregated against. And sometimes when women try to negotiate for more money, you hear they've dropped them like, oh, that's the problematic woman. Oh, she's proud. She's too expensive and things like that. Just because you've asked for your value. You know your value and you've said either this or nothing, then you're branded an impossible, difficult woman, and they'll pack you on the side. Yet the man demanding for certain things, he has the desirable attributes.